Okay, so it's exactly like 6:30 p.m. Let me check my phone. Yep, exactly 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 8th. Um, there have been ongoing problems with the water from this tap, safety and usability wise, for the last few months, very intensely and very regularly, but also over the course of the last 4 years. So, exactly 4 years ago, in June or July of 2019, somebody on the other side of this wall, which is the bathroom of Unit 78, where a homicidal psychopath slash registered sex offender slash cyber criminal and surveillance expert slash psychotic stalker and apparently just overall career criminal named Jasmine Irizarry lived for 8.5 years. 4 years ago, on a Saturday afternoon, there were about 3 hours worth of nonstop construction and sawing and some kind of like use of a saw against the pipes directly behind this sink right here. It was a Saturday. I thought it was maintenance. They were just literally going away on the pipes and the drain and the shower behind this wall. There is a shower behind this wall. There's also a sink right there. And I thought, wow, the bathroom next door must have some really serious plumbing issues. Wow, they're like working for 3 or 4 hours straight on those pipes. What is going on? It was like they were redoing the whole bathroom. And when I contacted the maintenance manager about it the following week, he's like, no, we didn't do any work in that bathroom. No, nothing that I was aware of. That's weird. And then I started getting really sick from drinking the water from this tap. At that point, I had lived in this unit for 8 years. This was in 2019. So in 2019, I had been using the water from this tap for 8 years and drinking it straight from the tap without any issues. It never tasted weird. It never made me sick. It never smelled funny. It was clean, clear, normal drinking water. Sometimes a little bit of a chlorine smell, but that's what you would expect from water in an urban setting. They always put a little bit of chlorine in the water. Since 2019, when there were like 3 or 4 hours worth of construction being done on the pipes behind the sink, I mean, I remember thinking like, oh my God, are they going to come through the wall? Like, what are they doing to my sink? I have been getting really sick from using the water from this tap to the point where I've had to invest a lot of time, money, and energy in purchasing giant bottles of water filters, water pitchers, a lot of which haven't really worked. I mean, obviously you can buy a giant bottle of water and you're not going to have to deal with the water from this tap. Going to use the bathroom down the hall to get drinking water, which is literally 30 feet away, never makes me sick. The water from the bathroom down the hall always is clean. It doesn't smell like sewage. It doesn't really have any strange chemical taste to it. It's fine. Oh, wow, what's going on here? Party? So this is where I have to go to get clean drinking water if I don't want to get sick from drinking the water from a tap. My Brita filter sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. And right now, the water from my kitchen tap is really, really sticky. The water from this tap is not sticky. So when I rinse my hands using this water, the water rinses right off. There's no sticky residue that feels like glue. Wow, that's really loud. But when I use the water from this tap, right here, right now, it is so sticky. Oh my God, yeah, it feels like there's glue in it. And when I rinse off this sponge, there's a sticky residue in this water. And when I rinse off this sponge, literally, there are little balls of gluish residue that come off on the sponge so that you're constantly like trying to rub this residue off of the sponge. This should not be happening. There's something wrong with the water that comes out of this tap. And just now, I went down the hall to the common bathroom to test the water from that tap, and it is not sticky. But the water from this tap right now is so sticky that, again, over the last like 10, 15 minutes when I've been trying to rinse this sponge using the water from this tap, there's a residue, and I don't think you can see it. There's these little balls of gluey stuff, of residue that come off when you rinse the sponge with this water, even if you don't use a sponge and you're just trying to rinse like a spoon or a knife, there's a residue on the spoon or knife that literally comes off when you try to dry that item after having rinsed it off in this water. At the same time, there's barely any water coming out of this tap, like it's all the way up. Yeah, so the tap is at maximum, but this is not the maximum volume and pressure that normally comes out. Okay, this is maximum, so when I turn it to the middle, this is what it should be like. So again, to recap, the water from this tap is incredibly sticky and gritty and gluey. And anything that you try to rinse under it has a film, a sticky, gritty film on it that comes off in little balls, like it's glue, as if there's glue on the surface. So this happens with the sponge. When I try to rinse the sponge, little balls of glue come off, or some kind of rubbery substance. Same thing when I try to rinse spoons and knives, but this does not happen when I go down and use the water from the tap in the common bathroom. And I just did that now. The water from the tap in the common bathroom was fine. The water from this tap, it's like so sticky that you feel like you have to rinse your hand after rinsing your hand. And again, the sponge is so like sticky right now. It feels like it's filled with glue. And literally the other day when I was rinsing the sponge and trying to wipe down this surface right here, there was like there was a gluey residue that was covering this counter. And little balls of glue were literally just coming off on the counter after the water had dried for a little bit. There's something going on with the water from this tap. At the same time, this is the cold water. When I use the hot water, so this is the cold water. When I use the hot water, it smells like sewage. So I can't use the hot water because when I do, it smells really, really bad when it comes out. The cold water doesn't smell like sewage. The cold water has gluey stuff in it, but the hot water smells like sewage. And again, when I use the water from the bathroom down the hall, there's no smell from that water. It doesn't smell like sewage. Not even the hot water smells like sewage when I go down the hall to the common bathroom and use that tap. But again, when I use the hot water from this tap, it smells like sewage. So 2 maintenance managers now have suggested that there could be a saddle valve that was placed on the intake pipe to this tap 4 years ago during the 3 or 4 hours worth of construction that was being done on a Saturday that maintenance did not know about. That's interesting. A saddle valve is a very simple, sort of almost primitive piece of technology that you use to puncture the intake pipe to a tap. So the intake pipe is the pipe that brings up the water from the street, that takes it in from the street, brings it to the tap. And all you have to do if you want to pump some nasty shit into somebody's water, access the intake pipe to their tap, place a saddle valve on it that punctures the pipe, and then the saddle valve is attached to like a hose, and then you can just pump in whatever nasty crap you want into somebody's drinking water. And this seems to be what's been going on with this tap, because problems with the water coming out of this tap do not happen from the tap in the bathroom down the hall, which is literally 30, 40 feet away. Same building, should be the same water. There should not be any difference between the water that comes out of this tap and the water that comes out of the tap from the bathroom down the hall, but there is, and it's a huge difference. It's a difference between getting sick and not being able to drink the water without getting sick, not being able to use the water on my skin without getting like a gritty, sticky, gluey residue on my skin and on my sponges and on my dishes and utensils, and having normal, water that rinses right off, as it does when I use the tap down the hall in the common bathroom. So that's weird. And it keeps happening. It's been happening for 4 years. So I think that someone is using a saddle valve against the pipe to this tap and pumping in whatever the hell they want. And given that there's a career criminal who appears to be quite handy with tampering with existing infrastructure, living behind the this wall in the bathroom of 78 for the last 8.5 years, and she apparently continues to access that unit intermittently when Jorge isn't staying in there, which he's not in there a lot, it seems, then the problems with the water coming out of this tap makes sense. You've got a homicidal psychopath who's a career criminal who has a talented ability to pick locks and tamper with existing infrastructure, who had 3 or 4 hours worth of construction work done directly behind this sink 4 years ago on a Saturday that maintenance did not know about, And now there's problems with the water from this tap, some very serious health and safety issues. It's a no-brainer. So you got a career operative sitting behind this wall all the time who did construction work against my tap, and I keep getting sick from using the tap, and the water is sticky and gluey and has a gritty residue that doesn't come off. That's weird.